everyone, welcome to a new video on the Eldenwood Craft channel. I hope you are well. My name is Emma and this is my April 2024 knitting and crochet wrap up. I'm going to talk to you about the things that I've finished making, the things that I've cast on, the things I've got in the works. I'll also talk to you about what I've been reading, and I will talk to you about the shop update that happened last night. Anything else have I got to tell you? I've got no real life news. It's been a pretty standard month really. We've just been heads down and getting on with everything. Weather has been miserable. I think when I recorded last time, I think I was saying that the weather was pretty miserable, and it still is. We've had the odd glimmer of spring, but it's not really happened yet. So maybe we'll just go straight into summer this year. Who knows? Before I start properly, I am wearing something knitted. This is my Thea top. It's a pattern by, I can't remember, I'll put the details in the description box down below, which is where you will also find links or details of the projects and books that I share with you over the course of the next, I don't know, half hour, 45 minutes or so. But I really enjoy wearing this top. It's a sleeveless top, as you can see. It's knit from Drops Bell. I forget the colourway name, but it's, yeah, I just really like it, and I'd quite fancy making another one. Okay, anyway, so that's what I'm wearing. That's the first thing I can tick off the list. So now on to some finished items. The first couple of things I wanted to just briefly mention are follow-ons from what I was talking about last time. I shared with you two projects that were destined for other people. The first one was my Tolsta Tee, pattern by Rebecca Clow, and that was a, sorry, I'm just sat by my window and got lots of birds outside, easily distracted. Anyway, the Tolsta Tee was going up to my mum. It did go up to my mum, and she tried it on and she loved it, so that was a success. The other pattern was my Sonja Sweater, which was for my daughter, and this is the one that has had all the story behind it about originally knitting a different sweater and then gauge, blah 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 blah. Anyway, so I finished my Sonja Sweater. I took it up to my daughter in April, I think it, well, yeah, it must have been the very beginning of April, and it was too short. I had a feeling it would be, so I brought it back. I have it here, and I re-knit. I don't really know why I did this, but I ripped back to here. I don't know why. I only needed to rip back to here because I needed to add a couple of inches on, basically 2 or 3 inches, I forget how many, but I have done that. I haven't blocked it since finishing it, and actually I don't think it needs blocking. You can't really tell, I don't think, that this part has been blocked and the bottom part hasn't. So this is now finished. I will be taking this up to see or to hand over later this month, and I hope I never have to knit another stitch on it, because, do you know, I've got a really sore hand at the moment. The base of my thumb, which I know is a bit of a problematic area generally, is quite, it's not painful when I hold it like that, but when I move it, it's a bit painful. So I'm just, yeah, I'm just looking after it a bit at the moment. But I suspect that working on this probably didn't help that. But anyway, we'll move on. Pop that over there. So that's the Tolsta and the Sonja Sweater, just carrying that over from last month. I have got a couple of finished pairs of socks to share with you. I think I said last time that I'd been knitting an awful lot of socks, and I didn't think I had any more socks to share with you, perhaps for a few episodes. That was a lie, I apologise. I have finished these are just plain vanilla socks knit from, oops, this is Passion Cooler Signature 4-ply, excuse me, from West Yorkshire Spinners. I really liked using this yarn. I knit a vanilla sock on, I normally knit my socks on 2.25mm wooden DPNs. These socks I knit on 2.5mm wooden DPNs just because the yarn is very slightly thicker than sort of traditional hand-dyed fingering weight yarn. Not by much, but when I find when I knit using commercial yarn on 2.25, it's just a little bit, I don't really like the fabric. I prefer the fabric that a 2.5mm needle gives you. So what we have got here is about 16 rounds of 2x2 rib. I don't know how many rows there are. There may be about 60 rows of plain knitting, heel flap and gusset with a garter edge. I don't know if you can see that. And then just again plain knitting into a wedge toe finish and kitchenette at the end. Not much else to say on these. They are just a really nice, easy, don't have to think too much knit. And they're kind of the socks that I like to knit. Have I blocked them? No, I've washed them. I didn't put them on blockers to block them because I never do, unless it's a lace sock, and I don't knit a lot of lace socks, but if it was a lace sock I would put it on a blocker. Other socks I probably wouldn't, but I mainly knit vanilla socks. So I was asked recently what is a vanilla sock, and just in case it's a phrase that you've not heard before, a vanilla sock is a sock where it doesn't have any sort of embellishment. It's got no lace pattern, no texture pattern, it's just a straight knit sock. And you could have a vanilla sock that's got a heel flap and gusset. You could have a vanilla sock that's got a short row heel. You could have a vanilla sock that's got an afterthought heel, and all the different heel variations. It's just got no patterning on the body. So did I say that the colourway was the Passion Fruit Cooler? Really like it. Don't really know what I'll do with this. I might make a pair of shorty socks. I might knit it into or crochet it into something. We will see. Anyway, so that's sock number 1 finished last month. Sock number 2, I think I'd started that sock in my last episode, and I had definitely started these socks in the last episode, and these are also finished. And again, just plain vanilla socks, but short ones. And there's the other one. So these are, the yarn is yarn that I have dyed. It's my golden ticket colourway, and I have just done about 10 rounds of 2x2 rib for the cuff, about the same for the leg, heel flap and gusset with a garter stitch tab, not garter stitch tab, a garter stitch edge again, and then just plain knitting again down to a standard wedge toe. These will be good for the spring, so I'm hoping that the weather's going to change pretty soon. These I probably won't wear until the autumn winter now. But yeah, these are really pleased with these. I like this colourway very much. I think the last skein of this sold in my shop update last night, but I will be dyeing some more as long as I can interpret the recipe that I wrote down when I dyed it initially. Yeah, just really pleased with these. I said this last time, it's really exciting to dye with your own hand dyed yarn. And there is the ball that is left. I meant to tell you how much each of those socks weigh, so if you bear 1 second, I will go and get my scales. That took longer than it should have done because I couldn't find them, and then I remembered that I put them out to use for packing, which I'm going to be doing after this podcast, packing orders. Right, let's weigh the golden ticket socks. They weigh 44 grams. I love how you can get a decent pair of socks out of that little amount of yarn. And then these ones are 56 grams, so just over half a ball. So 56, there's 41 grams of this left. Also, that's slightly less than 100 grams, isn't it? 97 grams this way. And I haven't used this for anything else. So, anyway. Right. Socks done. The other finished object, and I'm really excited about this, you can just see it here. I finished my Ranunculus, my very first Ranunculus, and I can tell you for sure that it won't be my last. In the last episode, I was about up to here. I'd knit most of the yoke. And when I came to pick this up again, I decided to rip everything back and start again on smaller needles. So the pattern I think calls for 6mm needles for the body. And I didn't really like the fabric that was giving me. It was a little bit too gapey. So I went down to a 5mm needle, and I am much happier with the fabric that it's produced. This hasn't been blocked yet. I literally finished weaving in the ends yesterday. The pattern is by Midori Hirose. And the yarn I used is Drop Spell. Can't remember the colourway number, but it's the deep navy or something like that. I'll put the details in the description box underneath the video. The pattern calls for short rows at the back, which you can just see here. To raise the neck up. Pattern also calls for short rows at the front, which I did in the first iteration of this, but I opted against putting them in when I re-knit the top half, because I don't like a sweater that's sort of, choking me up here. I prefer a sweater that's got a slightly lower neck, so I omitted the short rows at the front, and I'm glad that I did. Everything else in the yoke was according to the pattern. I knit a size 3. I wasn't sure what size I was going to knit, so I sort of tried it on as I went, and went with my sort of gut as to what the right size was. I think, if I remember rightly, that I knit... What you do when you knit this, you knit the yoke pattern, and that's just one size. So every size starts with the same yoke pattern, and then you adapt the sweater according to your size by adapting the number of raglan increases that you need. So I think I knit up to size 3 for the raglan increases, but it wasn't quite long enough for me here, so I added on a few extra plain knit rounds, and then I also cast on a couple more stitches underneath the here when you split for the sleeves. So I had a slightly different total stitch count than the actual size 3, but it seems to have worked. It was a bit of a fudge and fix it type situation, but it worked. One thing that I really like with this, that I've not seen on any other sweater that I've made, is how you cast on for extra stitches when you're splitting for the sleeves. I won't give away the detail, but normally pretty much every single sweater that I've cast on in the past has asked you to do the, is it called the backward loop cast on, where you flip the work round and cast on kind of with your thumb, and then carry on. This did a different type of cast on, which gives you a much firmer structure. I always find with the backward loop cast on that it's really sort of loosey-goosey, and I don't really enjoy when you then knit along those cast on stitches. But doing it the way that they talk about in this pattern gives you a much firmer edge under the in the armpit. So it's basically a bit of a nicer knitting experience. What else to tell you? I didn't do the amount of ribbing at the bottom that the pattern calls for because I didn't want to, and I knit it for longer than the pattern calls for. The pattern, I think, if I remember rightly, is quite cropped, and I'm not going to wear a crop top. This one comes to just below my, just at sort of hip length really. So there we are. I think that's everything I have to say. Really I'm looking forward to wearing this. Once I've finished recording and done all my order packing today, I'm going to pop this into some water to soak. It won't need any vigorous blocking. I've tried it on and it fits nicely, and I don't think from memory that drop spell grows at all. Drop spell is a cotton linen viscose mix. I really like knitting with it. I'm very likely to knit another one of these out of it, and actually probably likely to knit another one of these out of it. So yeah, anyway, I'm rambling. So that's my Ranunculus. I don't think there's anything else to say on it. I can't remember whether I did the small neckline or the wide neckline. I have a funny feeling I did the wide neckline, and it comes to sort of around here on me rather than around there. Anyway, let's move on. That's all my finished objects. On to things that I have worked on, and I think I've just got a couple of things to show you. The first one is a new project, and it's something that I don't knit very often, but I saw, it's a newly released pattern, and I saw the pictures on Instagram from the designer, and actually on my email because I'm subscribed to her email list. And it's a pattern by Janina Callio, who also goes by the name of Woolenberry, that's a brand. And the pattern is the Open Skies sort of little scarf type thing. I'll put a picture up here so you can see what it was that I was attracted by, and I'm pretty much copying. I'm knitting, oops, chuck the ball at you. I'm knitting it in this beauty. This is another skein that I have dyed. It's a merino yak nylon. I was just looking to see if I've got a skein easily accessible, but they're all packed away. And it's the school jumper colourway. And this is right up my alleyway. And it is producing this. So you can see how sort of similar it is to the original pattern. It's a really simple meditative knit. There is a repeat in it that's really easy to remember, and it's a pattern that basically consists of yarn overs and garter stitch and knit two togethers, and you knit it for a long time. And I'm trying to remember how many repeats there are of the pattern, but I can't remember. I'm about halfway through though. So what's that? That's just over a metre probably. So it's probably going to be around about 2 metres when it's finished. And yeah, I can't wait. I don't wear a lot of shawls, but I've always fancied knitting them. But I think I'm more inclined, I mean this is in the sort of the realms of the Sophie scarf type of garment. Or shawl, not garment. It's something nice and simple that will just wrap around a couple of times and tie up. So I really like the aesthetic that Janina Kallio has with her patterns and her pattern photography. It's really, I mean, it's very enticing, and in fact she's re-released a new pattern, or an old pattern recently, called Citadel. I'm quite tempted to knit that as well. Anyway, this will probably see most of my knitting over the next month. I'd really like to get that finished, though we'll have to see how the old thumb does. I'm really conscious of not pushing it too much. So I mean, certainly this last week I've not knit as much as I normally do, maybe sort of half an hour every now and then. But yeah, bit of a shame. So that is the Open Skies scarf, shawlette, I'm not sure what it is. And then the only other thing that I've got on the go, I will just reach over here to pick it up, is again something new. And it's not knitting, it is crochet. But I am crocheting myself a blanket. I don't use blankets, so I don't know why I'm making one. However, I saw a photo that a friend shared on a WhatsApp group a while ago of her granny square blanket on her bed, and that image has not left my mind. I've not been able to stop thinking about it, and so I have decided to make my own granny square blanket. I've got a big bucket full of ends of yarns and mini skeins and things, so I'm going to be working through this, which is a really good way to use up a lot of yarn. It's leading me to have a little packet of even more leftover yarn, which I'm going to make socks out of, scrappy socks. I've also got this bag of 10-gram minis, which was an advent swap I did with said friend of the blanket. So I might put these in, although I was thinking about keeping these for a different project, but we will see. Anyway, progress I have made so far is here. I've got a nice little pile of granny squares. Now, I'm not going to go through and show you all of them, and I'm not going to show you progress on this every month. I will most likely show you progress when I have finished all my squares, or when we've got to the year anniversary of me starting this, because will I have finished it by then? I don't know. Although it does go quite quickly, doesn't it, crochet? So you never know. Anyway, just to, which one should I show you? Just to sort of show you what I'm doing. I'm making very basic granny squares. This is a pattern that is easily found online, and I'm doing 8 rounds to give something that each one of these takes, I think, just over 10 grams, or just under 10 grams. So yeah, I've really been enjoying these. Each one of these takes me about 40 minutes to make, something like that, so they are quite good for sort of evening crocheting. I can get a couple out in an evening when my hand is working properly. I'm doing a mixture of solid, semi-solid squares and variegated / speckled yarns. I can't remember where most of these yarns come from, if I'm honest. I know that some of them, like this lovely one, is from Sherry Iris, but I honestly couldn't tell you where the others are from. That one might be Sherry Iris actually, and I think that one is Craft House Magic. But anyway, there's me saying I can't remember where they're from, and then I promptly start to show you where they're all from. Anyway, I'm not going to go through them all because that's not very exciting. However, just to say, I'm really enjoying making these. I am going to continue making them for as long as I can, until I get bored, and then I'll probably push through a bit more, and then I'm going to join them probably with something like this, which is Drops Flora in their sort of off-white colourway. Although I might do a blue type, that sort of blue. Anyway, we're a long way off from deciding that, but that's how I'm going to join them all. I may even do a 1 round border of that colour and then join, but we'll see. I'm a long way from reaching that point of the project, but I'm very much enjoying it, and I'm going to make it. We have a king size bed, or do we have the next size up? I think we just have a king size bed, and I'm going to make it so it's big enough to fit on that and hang over the sides. So a year, do you reckon? 18 months maybe? We will see. I am using, what hook size am I using? I'm using one of these, which I think might be the Clover Amour, and it's hook size E, which is 3.5mm, just in case you were wondering. Okay, that is it for the making. I'm going to, oh no, I was going to say what I've got next is plans. So I'm going to work on my Open Skies shawl. I've got a list here of new garments that I'd like to cast on. I've already spoken about 2 of them, the Ranunculus and the Thea top. The other garment that I'd like to cast on is the Lauder vest from Rebecca Clow. However, I'm just a little bit conscious about irritating my hand more, so I'm just going to play it by ear. I may cast on a new garment, I may just knit very tentatively on Open Skies and crochet tentatively on my blanket. So we'll see. When I come back at the end of May, who knows what I'll have. Okay, on to some book talk. So I have read 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 books since I last recorded. First one that I finished, I was reading this last time, but it's I Who Have Never Known Men by Jacqueline Harpman. This was brilliant. I really enjoyed it. It's a dystopian speculative fiction. I'm not quite sure what the difference is between those 2 terms, but anyway, it's a story about a group of women who are locked in a cage underground. We don't know why. but they're there, they're not allowed out of the cage at all, and they are guarded by 3 men, I think 24 hours a day. It's a very short novel, but it packs a real punch. It's a quiet novel, not a lot happens, but then a lot happens. I'm not going to tell you anything about it, other than I really, really enjoyed it. If you enjoyed The Handmaid's Tale, the book, I would imagine you will enjoy reading this too. Yeah, it's a translated book. I can't remember who the translator is. Ros Schwartz, translated from French into English. It's a book that was written originally in the 1970s, I think, but marvellous, really good. I then read a book by one of my favourite authors, Ladder to the Sky by John Boyne. John Boyne has written many, many books. He's probably most famous for The Boy in the Striped Pyjamas. Gosh, I can't think what else he's written off the top of my head. There's the follow-up to The Boy in the Striped Pyjamas, which I read a year ago and really enjoyed. It's a much more grown-up version, grown-up book than The Boy in the Striped Pyjamas. This one was a really good romp, I suppose. It's about an author, and it follows his journey from a young man through his career, as he's trying to find the creative juice that he needs to write his next book. It's really dry, witty, sharp, and a really fast read. I'm not going to give any spoilers in any of this, but it follows the main protagonist, whose name I can't remember, Morris Swift. It follows him through 3 or 4 encounters throughout his life, or 3 or 4 periods in his life where he's trying to write a book, and he's a right old mean and nasty character. So really, really good. I highly recommend that. I then listened to, pop a picture on the screen, The Women by Kristin Hannah. This is her brand new book. I was really highly anticipating this one. I really enjoyed the first half of the book, where so the book covers the voices of women who went out to the Vietnam War, and it gives a voice to them where otherwise they haven't had a voice, really. One of the phrases that kept coming out of the story was from people back in America saying, well, women weren't in Vietnam, whereas patently they were. The main character, whose name I can't remember, I've got a dreadful memory these days, but she went over to Vietnam as a nurse to work in one of the war hospitals. I found the description of life as a nurse, as a medic, utterly captivating, quite gruesome at times, but really, it really absorbed me, and I really enjoyed that part of the story. I found the second half of the story, when the main character came back from Vietnam, to be less engaging. It was then about her sort of return to a normal life. It was interesting, but it didn't grip me quite as much as the first half did. So overall, I enjoyed some of it, and I kind of feel, I don't know, I feel a little bit let down by it. It's the second Kristin Hannah book in a row, I think, that I've read where I have found the last part of the book to be a disappointment. The other one was The Four Winds. I found that the ending of that just really, I didn't enjoy that at all. But then I've read Firefly Lane, and I really enjoyed that. And I can't remember what the other Kristin Hannah, oh, The Nightingale, which I absolutely loved, one of my favourite books of all time. So, you know, you can't win them all. But yeah, it's a good listen. I would think I listened to it in a couple of days, and it's not a short book. But yeah, slightly disappointed. Anyway, then I went on to another really good book. I read my very first Miss Marple. So this is the Murder at the Vicarage, and it's the first in the Miss Marple series, and it introduces us to Miss Marple and her village and lots of the different characters that live there. I absolutely loved it. It was terribly prim and proper and a really lovely read. I'm sure many of you have read Agatha Christie and Miss Marple before. I don't know why I haven't, but yeah, a group of us decided to read the second story for one reason or another in the series, and I decided, some of us also who hadn't read Miss Marple decided to read the first one first. So this was brilliant. I am currently listening to the second one, which is The Body in the Library, and it's narrated terribly well by Stephanie Coles, and equally as good. I think I'm enjoying the story of this one slightly more than the Body in the Vicarage, getting them mixed up, The Body in the Library, but they're both really good, and if you've not read Miss Marple before, I would highly recommend it. And then I listened to the new book by David Nicholls called You Are Here. Again, picture here. I have just finished watching One Day on Netflix, the series, and oh my goodness, that was good. If you've not watched that, then believe the hype, it's really good. The two lead characters, Emma and his name is on the top of my head. You're all shouting at me. I cannot think. I want to say Max, but it's not Max. I want to say Rex, but it's not Rex. It must end in an X. I can't remember. It'll come back to me when I've finished. Anyway, the two characters in that were brilliant. So I was right in the mood for another David Nicholls book. I've read one of his other books before. I read One Day back in the day and really enjoyed it. And then I read another one. Can't remember which one it was. Maybe Starter for 10. But I was right in the mood for a bit of David Nicholls storytelling. So I listened to You Are Here. The story was lovely. It's about a couple of people in their late 30s, early 40s who meet on a walk, and it tells the story of their relationship over the course of that walk. David Nicholls writes conversation really well. In this particular book, he also writes nature really well. So it was a really lovely combination of conversation and description about the walk that they were going on. And I really enjoyed that. I got a little bit tiresome of the sort of the banter of one of the main characters in that. Not enough for me not to enjoy the book, but it was a little bit irritating, and it was a little bit on the light fluffy side, but not so much for me to think, oh, I'm never going to read David Nicholls again. But yeah, so I wrote a review on Goodreads that said, I think something along the lines of, I was in the mood for a light and fluffy book, and that itch has been scratched now. So You Are Here by David Nicholls. Yeah, it was okay. If you like One Day, you will enjoy this. It reminded me a little bit, actually, when I started reading it, of The Unlikely Pilgrimage of Harold Fry. I think probably just because that's about a long walk as well, but it had kind of ish undertones to it, but not as good as Harold. Anyway, so that leads me to the book that I'm currently reading. I'm currently listening to The Body in the Library. I'm currently reading Wolf Hall. A wholly different book from most of the other things that I've read in the last month, actually. I've been wanting to read this for such a long time. Slightly put off by the size of it. It's about 600-700 pages long. 650 pages. And I had heard that it's quite a... you have to be fully engaged in the read. Which, you know, it can put you off sometimes. But I'd seen the BBC adaptation when it was on TV years ago. And always thought it would be good to read. I loved that adaptation. Mark Rylance as Thomas Cromwell was brilliant. Anyway, this is magnificent. I am really enjoying it. It's true you have to be fully engaged in the text, but the language, the way it's written, is so clever, so beautiful, funny at times, as in sort of dry wit. And it basically, if you don't know the story, it describes the rise of Thomas Cromwell in the court of Henry VIII, around the time of Henry VIII trying to annul his marriage to Catherine of Aragon and to marry Anne Boleyn. So it's that period of time. It's sort of set around, I think it starts in about 1915. Well, it starts when Thomas Cromwell's a young boy, but it really picks up in the 1520s, 1530s. How do you say that? 1530s, that doesn't sound right. Anyway, marvellous. I'm on page 144, so I've got a long way to go. Will I have finished it by the end of May? Maybe, I don't know. I'm taking it quite slowly. It's not something that you can read, or I can't read really quickly, but really good. By Hilary Mantel, if you're not aware. This is the first in a trilogy, and apparently the other two books are even better, so we're on for a good time. Right, that's everything that I have been reading. I'm going to just briefly talk about what's going on with Eldenwood Craft and the shop, and then I will let you go. Okay, shop talk time. I updated my shop last night. That was the 30th of April. I basically restocked some of the more popular bags. So I've got a large, you can't see them all, but I've got a large supply of ready to ship bags. I haven't checked against what has been ordered. It was a good update last night. If you shopped, thank you so much. I haven't checked what's still available, but most of my bags now, where I can get the fabric, are also available on a made to order basis. So if they're not in stock, there's a very good chance you'll be able to order a made to order bag. And my turnaround time, the maximum turnaround time is 5 weeks, but at the moment it will be shorter than that. I just thought I would share some of the bags that I included in the update. I think I shared these with you last time. These are the new Eldenwood exclusive prints that I create myself. I don't do the artwork, I can't do that. My skills do not lie in that field, but I use digital images to create the fabric. So the fabric is available to me on a print on demand basis. So this is Bluebird, and this is in the midi size. Fits up to about 5 skeins of yarn. It's very generous in size. It has a nice deep base. lots of pockets inside, and that's available in my midi size, my everyday size, which fits a couple of skeins, and my extra large size up there, which fits a good 10 plus skeins. So Bluebird is available, ready to ship, hopefully, or maybe hopefully not for me, but definitely made to order. Also available in stock in all sizes is a new print to the shop. I had a couple of these at East Anglia last month, and I think a couple made it into the end of March update, but these are now fully in stock. This is the Gardenia print. It's really lovely, it's really summery, it's got these gorgeous bumblebees and blue tips and song thrushes. The print has also got robins on, but I haven't got any of those here. But again, this is available in the midi size, also in the extra large size. And again, this is another lovely, really generously sized bag. Oh, that's not going to work, but you can see it's got a nice big bottom. Great for blankets and sweaters and things like that. So it's also available in my everyday size. So just to compare the difference, that's the extra large, that's the smallest everyday, and then that's the midi. So that's Gardenia, available ready to stock or made to order. Just bending down to pick these ones up. I also restocked the sheep bags. Got sheep 1 and sheep 2. Both as extra large. These are also ready to stock and made to order, and I've got sheep 2 midi and sheep 1 midi somewhere. Where are you? I think they must be in the shelves here. Oh, here. There we go. Sheep 1, sheep 2 midi size. These don't come as everyday because the print is too big to make a decent fist of showing you the print in a small bag. So extra large and midi for the sheep. I've also got, I saw here, some of this lovely classic all a navy print, and these are available in all sizes, made to order, and I've also got extra large and midi in stock ready to ship. I've been doing a little bit of digging around my sort of stats over the last few months to see which bags have been selling, what sizes have been selling, and it's really clear, it's interesting, and I didn't think this would be the case, but the extra large size is without a doubt the most popular size that I do. It's the extra large bags that always tend to sell out first, followed by the midis, and I don't sell that many of the everyday ones, the smallest ones, so yeah, just interesting to me as the maker behind the bags. Anyway, so stock, ship, stock, shop is fully stocked and ready to be shopped in if you fancy it. That's obviously at the time of recording, and without having looked to see what went out in the order in the update last night, but I know there's plenty of made to order definitely still there. Right, plans for May in the shop. I'm going to be working on the made to order bags from this update. I have also got a secret yarn plan. It's not secret, I'm creating a collection that I hope will be coming out at the end of May. I'm also hoping to source another fabric for another collection of bags Yeah, there's quite a lot to be going on. I'm also going up to see my daughter in her final performance at university. She's studying dance at university, and she's in her final year and in her final couple of weeks. Oh my god, I can't believe it. So yeah, this summer she'll be coming back home to live with us until she decides what she wants to do with the rest of her life. I cannot believe that 3 years has gone by. It doesn't feel like she's been there 3 months, never mind 3 years. So yeah, it's a funny old time. She's feeling quite sad and nostalgic about having to leave it all behind, but I think she's looking forward to coming home as well. Anyway, so yeah, so we'll be going up to see her perform in her final performance, which we're really looking forward to. We haven't seen her dance yet as a university student. She's quite a long way away from us, and it's just not feasible to go to all of them. So we always said we would go up to this one, and we would go up to her graduation, which is in a beautiful cathedral. Yes, we're looking forward to that. Anyway, that's in the future. I will say goodbye now. I hope you have had a good month just gone, and I hope May is good to you as well. I really hope that it feels, if you're in the northern hemisphere at least, I really hope it feels spring-like. Down here in Somerset, in the southwest of England, it feels anything but spring-like. It's very grey at the moment. It's very wet still. We've had a couple of days of sunny weather, and it's been lovely to get out into the garden. We have planted up our raised beds. We've got lots of lovely vegetables growing. They're doing well this year. Some of them, well, we didn't have a great year last year, which was our second year of raised beds. The first year was really good, so we will see how this year goes, but at the moment it looks promising. My husband started them all off from seed indoors, and they've all seemed to have taken really well. Anyway, I'll pop a picture in, if I remember, of the work we did at the weekend. And on that note, I will say goodbye. I will be back at the end of May to show you what I've been working on. If there's anything that's not clear, if you've got any questions, if you've got any questions about anything I've been talking about, or anything really, I'm very happy to answer most things. Yeah, so it's really nice chatting with you. Thank you for being here, and I will see you at the end of this month. Might pop into the beginning of June, we'll see. It depends when the day's for. Anyway, you don't need to know that. That's me thinking out loud. I will see you really soon. Take care. Have a lovely month. Goodbye.